Yes, Virginia, there is a uniparty, and our government shutdown just exposed it. For 40 days and 40 nights, the U.S. government was shut down. Democrats, Republicans were all okay with it. So, what changed? Why is this shutdown approaching an end? Well, what changed is the one outsider to politics in Washington, President Donald Trump, says, hey, we should do away with the filibuster. Then normal people start talking about it on X. And then next thing you know, that becomes a thing. JD Vance is talking about it. There's all this talk. Now Republican senators are being asked, hey, should you guys have the majority? Are you going to actually employ the nuclear option? And just like that, a deal was reached to reopen the government. Democrats got nothing they wanted out of the deal, but the government's going to reopen anyway. I knew things had shifted when Chuck Schumer, head of the Senate Democrats, said he had a simple proposal the other day to end the shutdown. In a game of chicken, the guy who swerves is the chicken. Chuck Schumer swerved. Despite all the tough talk, despite the election wins last week, Democrats knew in their hearts they were losing this battle, and they knew that if the filibuster actually went away, their losses would mount. Trump gave a laundry list of items that Republicans could pass if there were not a filibuster. Here's his list.
If we terminate the filibuster, the country will be open within 10 minutes after that termination, because we'll take a second vote, which is the opening of the country, and the Republicans will vote to open the country. It'll take 10 minutes and the country will be open.
Mr. President.
Is there any room for bipartisanship? Because it seems like that's the main purpose of the filibuster, is to create some sort of compromise.
Well, it didn't work, obviously.
So
You're right. That was the purpose of the filibuster, bipartisanship, but that didn't work.
So are you saying the next 3 years in Washington there shouldn't be?
Well, no. If the filibuster is terminated, we will have the most productive 3 years in the history of our country. If the filibuster is not terminated, then we will be in a slog with the Democrats, and very little for either party will be done.
So the shutdown will end, and that's the thing. But protecting the filibuster is the thing behind the thing, and that took a uniparty effort. What we saw just now, these last 40 days, was a game of sock puppet theater. It was a pro wrestling match. The Democrats and Republicans looked, if you were watching from the cheap seats, they looked like they were fighting, but after the match, they were grabbing beers and partying together. Reaching a deal to reopen government without killing the filibuster had nothing to do with the American people. They're no better off or worse off than they were 40 days ago. It had everything to do with protecting the Senate as an institution. And beyond that, as an institution that gets nothing done. If you're a senator, the filibuster is your get out of work free card. The filibuster allows senators like Josh Hawley and John Kennedy and Rand Paul to build a reputation on news hits and clips from committee hearings rather than actual achievements, which they have none. When it comes time to do real work, everybody can blame the filibuster for nothing getting done. Republicans can say they would do amazing things if only they had a supermajority, if only they had 60 votes. But what happens when someone gets a supermajority? Well, then it's about protecting the supermajority, and then that becomes the excuse for getting nothing done. Plenty of senators rode Trump's coattails to Washington last year, but when they got there, they all had a built-in excuse called the filibuster, and that explained why so very little of the Trump agenda has been codified into law. So when Chuck Schumer changed his tone over the weekend, he wasn't just protecting himself. He was protecting the Lindsey Grahams of the world from anything ever being expected of them, or of anyone expecting something of the Democrats if they were to take charge. If there were no filibuster, people would expect more of Republican senators than appearances on Fox News. But with it, everybody could keep on pretending that they would act if they were able. Trump's talk about ending the filibuster and using the nuclear option made the block too hot. He draws too many normie eyeballs to politics, and those people then have questions that make politicians and journalists alike all uncomfortable. If normies come to realize that that was sock puppet theater that they were playing in Washington, that nobody ever actually gets hurt, nobody ever actually loses, and nothing actually gets done, incumbency itself would be viewed in a bad light. Yes, Virginia, there is a uniparty in Washington, and President Trump is not in it. That's why so little's been achieved by Congress, because everybody benefits from this do nothing status quo. If Republicans lose the House and Senate next year and Trump faces impeachment, that benefits the uniparty too. His enemies, like a Chuck Schumer, like a Michigan Senator Alyssa Slotkin, can go on TV and scream bloody murder. His friends, his fake friends, like a Lindsey Graham, can then cast themselves as bulldogs defending the president. And just like that, the outsider's future will hang in the balance to be decided by the insiders who prefer the status quo. That explains why the government shutdown lasted so long, why it ultimately ended, and why you will not see Trump continue to press for the nuclear option. Trump might want Lindsey Graham's yes vote today, but he will need Lindsey Graham the bulldog tomorrow. If people expect Lindsey Graham to pass actual laws right now, tomorrow might not happen. Everybody in Washington was willing to lose the government shutdown battle as long as the war never ends, as long as the filibuster stays intact.